settled, and looks like we're gonna move on to the Grandmaster division.
Yeah, it's gonna be three more matches. We're gonna start with me versus Minirak, and then we're gonna do Puffcake versus Opie Rights and Ruff versus Sauerkraut. All these names I don't wanna face, but sadly I do at some point in this
I mean,
tournament.
that is on you for making a league, where you're like, oh, I'm gonna put the best players up there with me, and then you're like, oh, but then I have to play them.
Some way it's also fun, right? Playing like
No.
players on the same skill. Anyhow, before we start, we have to look at the current standings. That's important. This one is slightly not correct because OP has a tiebreaker over me, so he should be above me. Just saying. There we go.
Trying to show no admin bias here by fixing this on the fly. Oh yeah, shit. Sorry, my background thing that confirms me first is on. Let me turn that off.
Yep. But yeah, everyone is like in Master. It's top 5 again. It was really close at the top.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and not only that, so we just saw Sauerkraut in the finals, as well as you. So Sauerkraut's been playing recently in good form. That was a great set. I don't know if Rav in Hidden Cup. Well, I think he kind of got knocked out relatively early if he did. But like that's the
yeah,
other cup that's been in there, right? Has been in the mix. Has been Hidden Cup. But just wanted to bring that up. That there is a great Hidden Cup finals last week.
yeah. I think Rav, if I'm not mistaken, I think Rav made it to the semis. I don't recall exactly who.
It
Yeah, with
was
it.
me.
Okay, it was Nebula who yeah took out Rav in that instance. So yeah, not surprising to see Rav make it that far, and yeah, so not surprising either to see Nebula and Sauerkraut in the finals. Two obviously very good players. Um, and then yeah, this almost looks even closer than Masters was. Like it looks like a little like kind of anything can happen with only a very slight lead for the two at the top right now. Um, and yeah, it makes for a lot of exciting games today. So yeah,
Also,
looks like
I want to note in this division it's the top 3 that goes to the championship. Because number 3 will play number 2, and the winner of that will play number 1.
yeah
Oh,
that
so
that
there's more stakes for actually winning out then, actually, which is very fun, especially in a group of 8.
Yeah, it's basically Grandmaster. It's like so tough to get points, so I felt like, at least for Grandmaster, it should be top 3 that have a chance to go to the to win the championship.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, with the top three, it makes kind of even more scenarios, which is it's kind of hard to calculate all of them. Um, and then
Basically, everyone can still make it from the top 5.
yeah, from the top five, and it looks like Pofke and Turnip Boy are fighting to be the ones that are not going to be auto relegated. So Koopa's already going to take up one of those spots, and they'll just kind of Pofke and Turnip Boy will battle it out to see who at least gets to fight for their spot. And yeah, so it looks like we're going to kick things off with Nebula versus Minioric.
And we are starting with just game one straight up. So, or sorry, we are going to go through the draft first, of course. Um, so let's see. We have Nebula does not want Mini to cheese out Balcony and just try to coin flip versus him. Makes sense. Totally don't let him get scrubbed out. And then ban Gallery versus Mini. That seems like a targeted ban. I don't think Mini's been specifically going after that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, not too sure about that one. Maybe yeah, I mean, these are players who've played each other tons of times, so I'm sure it's very targeted towards the player. Um, yeah, interesting with the balcony. I don't know if Mini is someone who would pick balcony if it was an option, but it's possible. He might just do it just to get in his opponent's head a little bit. And these doubles, I think, are very like they're not based off the opponent; they're based off their own strengths. Nebula is very, very good on Aquarium, both on the sniper and the spy side. And Mini loves his redwoods, so not too surprised to see those. And yeah, kind of some similar singles we've seen, but I don't believe at least not in today. We haven't seen any veranda or a high rise, so should be interesting to see if those make it into the cast.
Yeah, high rise is a particularly interesting one to grab in there. I mean, it sneaks into singles every once in a while, but certain players just really feel like they have a good handle on the sniping side, and then sometimes you can just get random wins on the spy side with just like enough of aggression. So that's good. And one of the things that I that there is in there is for bans on things like balcony and maybe galleries. I do think that you're right that not only did these players pick maps that suit their strengths rather than their opponent's weaknesses. But I think that their opponents are very aware of the fact that these are very likely to get picked, which means that when you're doing your prep, you can actually reliably know what maps am I going to have to prep for on my opponent's side. Like so, I'm gonna have to drill down on redwoods. If you're playing mini, don't ban redwoods. You're probably gonna play redwoods. So that means you at least know which ones you're going to focus on. Do grab replays from your opponent. So sometimes there's a little bit of thing of you actually ban the curveballs that your opponent could throw in there, so you can really focus in on the maps that you are pretty sure you'd actually be playing on.
Yeah, and kind of an interesting note too. Like even though these doubles do kind of favor into their strengths, like Mini is very clearly no slouch on Aquarium either, and Nebula is yeah not. I mean he's great at Redwoods as well. So yeah, so it should actually be kind of yeah. I mean it's kind of like there's two are kind of cancel out to each other a little bit, but I expect lots of pretty exciting plays to happen. And yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get into the first match. I believe as you mentioned, this did start 0-0, and it looks like we'll have Nebula kicking things off with Smallman. Um, in three, two, one, playing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
so something
guess
fun here is so who chose when we have these highlight games. I'm just curious about like admin stuff. Oh, we are going to do a watch check, partially behind Shark. Our feet could be seen, but not much else. We're going to cheese this flirt and we're going to continue this walk up. So I imagine that because there wasn't much threat at the front except for Ambassador, that we won't be watching what's behind Shark, especially for something like First Shark Pass. So one, I actually like that reaction. Where if you have bottom shark, I have not thought about the fact that there's an opportunity with bottom shark for you to immediately do a timeout reliably at like 6 or 7 seconds, just because of the nature of being near the front of the venue and there being shark. So I like that play a lot, and we are being very aggressive when we didn't get the green flirt off yet, so we won't be able to do like a straight up super rush like do an inspect swap here and then go contact and flirt and then have 4 missions. So I don't think we're gonna be doing that. But still, very aggressive early, and we already have a timeout in hand.
yeah, I think like plays like this are why I love watching Nebula because you kind of feel like the mind games are at work. So actually, I think he did something very similar. In Hidden Cup. I remember him going for an early time ad on Aquarium, and I kind of mentioned is like you don't really see early time ads on Aquarium because spies like to use the numbers on to track where the shark is. So it's like it's usually not something you're looking for. And also we're taking advantage of the mechanics of Smallman. Quickest time ad animation. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's just not something that the sniper's expecting. And then to take the time ad and turn it into an aggressive play of instantly inspecting statues. So if the sniper did notice there's a time ad, you're probably not thinking like, oh, it's someone being very aggressive right now. So yeah, pretty smart plays from Nebula so far.
Yeah, and we've white flirted twice, but it's probably not going to really matter because I think we're just going to hang out here with our seduction target and try to timer flirt, which would be fantastic for us. We would love not to have to chase this one more time. And then, of course, after that, we are going to have to find somewhere to finish. But then, like, here's the big problem: is if you only have 1 mission left, and let's say we hit this last flirt, and we still have like 2 minutes ish left. Then there's this problem for Mini Org of like 2 minutes of potential shark walks from Smallman, right? Like there's just going to be a time in which Smallman will have the opportunity to get off a free mission there, because that's like if you have 2 missions left, there's often little combo chains you can do to get a shark walk off. But like, oh man, Seduction Target leaves right after we finish. That's fabulous. So yeah, we can kind of just hang out here and see if there's something that stands out to us, like a free bug behind Shark. But if not, we have a we'll have a few opportunities set up for a Shark Walk now being done.
Oh my
Oh, I
god,
think
and
it's gonna be a bug though.
the ambassador just joins right next to us. Unfortunately, it's high shark right now, so it's not really a gift, but It is a possibility. No, Ambassador leaves before we can make anything of it. Interesting note here. We completed inspects and we're not even a highlight. I'm fairly certain Mini Oric would normally highlight for completed inspects. So it kind of makes you wonder, did we not get credit for one of the statue visits? I wonder, and taking that a step further, was this like calculated Nebula? Did he know that there's something going on that's like being really distractive for the sniper to go for that second statue? Uh, yeah, just wondering what happened there.
Yeah, not sure because like you're saying, like well, so here's one of the other nice things is so with the timeout early on, if we get away with it clean, aquarium similar to well every map, but in particular aquarium in places like library, the pressure on the sniper ramps up for having to watch certain locations more intently because of the potential for shark walk. So the longer we wait, the more split attention there's going to be, where we're having to like worry about, okay, is that statue visit over here set up for shark walk? Is there going to be a send soon? Is there going to be a book cheese with shark? And we're finally moving. So I think we are gonna be setting up for a bug over here. There is gonna be bottom shark, but Ambassador moves in a way that's gonna be really obnoxious for us. We're gonna follow all the way through though. I think we're gonna turn around. No, we are just gonna path all the way through. And I think normally if we had any sort of hooks into Smallman, I think that path alone would get a shot. But because, like you were saying, we didn't actually highlight for the inspects at all, it just didn't feel like a finish from Smallman, and we won't shoot for path alone on there.
And just have to add, going for the little taunt at the end, doing the red microfilm just as time expires. That's nice, nice gamesmanship there from Nebula. And yeah, it's kind of an interesting position because I think, I was gonna mention like on Aquarium, like usually Smallman doesn't really change. Like, he has big advantages on other venues, but with that high angle on Aquarium, not so much. But I think, with the smaller body, I think it makes walks maybe just a little bit better than it would be with a taller spy. And I think he was in a position where he could actually just straight up force a win with a properly timed shark walk. Um, but yeah, with that last bug path, I think that kind of did give Minnie a chance to pull the trigger, but just somehow we got away with the full inspects without picking up the highlight, and that paid off in the way of a spy victory here.
All right. Nebula takes the lead 1-0 in that, and we are going to fast forward to library where, actually, like I just mentioned, there's like these late game kind of like stress states for sniper, and at this point in the game, or sorry, the match, we are 5-4. Nebula's up one, and we are stepping into Mini as spy.
Okay, let's see here. So yeah, 5-4 mini spy. Okay, so yeah, it looks like Nebula's kind of just held that spy win up until now. So yeah, Mini just needing to get a win on the spy side to equalize. And yeah, first library of the day looks like Mini Auric will be kicking things off as Plane Twin in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And so, first of all, even though Mini's down one map in this one, that's actually okay. We are going to go with this really early banana bread. So, if we don't get this book rip, I feel like we're super far behind. Okay, so actually, sorry, I thought we were going for a book rip, but it was actually more likely we were actually going for a low light. But don't get the low light. It doesn't look like there's all that much attention paid to us for this book rip. So this is a weird library game. We are going to return, I think, the book here, and I think we're going to get away with it. But even then, I'm trying to think if I could come into a library game and I am saying you get transfer microfilm for free, but you're going to have 3 minutes and 45 seconds with 6 AI or so knocked out. It's a mixed bag. I feel like it's. Oh, we get a low light though after the transfer. What for?
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, like you were saying, I think that I think Nebula, based off of the way they sniped this, would agree with you because, yeah, normally like early contact, you're thinking, okay, what are you hiding? You're clearly trading this for some kind of a free mission. Nebula said, I don't care. I'm taking as many lowlights as I can from this, and took quite a lot. So yeah, was able to get the transfer, but yeah, immediate lowlight, and I wonder if that just was for something pathing related. I don't think it was, a delayed contact low late.
Yeah, and it could be just like the books after a while. So that's another one of the interesting things about low lighting. So normally on library, you're not going to get a ton of hard low lights except for the banana bread. And then you kind of mix your low lights in a little bit with like some soft low lights, some hard low lights. But if you get that many low lights early on library, I think that there's a temptation, at least for me, to keep those really pure. I mean, like I have a third ish, maybe a quarter ish of the party super hard low lit. So the problem is this low light is a soft low light, almost for sure on something that we did. Well, sorry, it's definitely a soft low light because the spy. Any low light on the spy is at least a Darius soft low light. We get a banana bread off. So here's the second one, and we're gonna trade in more. So the problem is almost all of these lowlights are hard lowlights. We do watch. I don't know if that's for wheels, but we do watch that bug entry. Sorry, the ambassador entry for bug. So there's a chance here that we know which of these highlights are soft highlights. Sorry, soft lowlights. But we're mixing with very good company, as I think is the short way of saying what I want to say is the rest of these lowlights are super strong, and that there's gonna be a ton of attention paid on the rest of the neutral lights.
Yeah, I mean, and just kind of based off of what I've seen today and just knowing Nebula's history, the lowlights are still being watched. There is a possibility that we get brought back up. I mean, however, I do think Mini like is in a place where he can be aggressive. Um, I think yeah, and I think maybe he knows this. I think with the early contact, like I think we know that at least the book take probably wasn't seen. The return, like I mean the return might have the sniper questioning us like if we did take or not, but nothing, nothing for sure. Um, yeah, chasing down the ST here. We still let's see here. Still have 3 more missions. Yeah, Ambassador joins near us, but not sure if we could take advantage.
Yeah, and I think that we're just gonna put down in there. Are we gonna go for this bug? No, we're gonna bounce around a little bit. Almost unfortunate because like I don't know if we would have been able to see the arm as much, but we don't get brought back up. And like you were saying, there was a few low lights that had visited statues that had gotten brought back up. So the this low light has definitely has a chance of being returned. And I guess that is another point. So we've been watching White Dress a lot, by the way. We watched White Dress go to statues. We were worried about a swap. We made sure to see the statue when White Dress went away. This would be too long for a green swap on this one, but I think that we might be watching swap in particular in this one just because maybe somehow this is a super delayed green. This would be so late, so I don't think we're really worried about as much. This might just be attention on potential swap. We're going to be able to fingerprint on this one as well. We're going to put back, I think we need to get away from this statue to make sure that we can see that there's no swap that's been happening. And there's only going to be one flirt left. It's going to happen at exactly 13 seconds. There's not going to be overtime. Is anyone else look like there's going to be a finish in here? I think we're thinking that there actually is just going to be a bug at the end, and that we're not worried about there being a mission finish. And Mini Auric is able to get away with it in a weird library game that they're able to just find the Kraken and get through with a mission win.
Yeah, pretty well played from Mini, and I think honestly, it's kind of impressive that Nebula kind of found a way to get back into that. I think it might have just been the fact that like, hey, you're going to center statues, fingerprintable center statues, something that surely the sniper is keeping an eye on. Like this late in the game, that feels very spy-like. Also, just going in for the quick talk with, I don't know if you're really going to track flare pairs with a low late, but still, like, just going in the conversation, talking fairly quickly. I think Nebula wanted to take that shot. I think the problem is there was another equally suspicious suspect, and I think maybe just they weren't quite sure who to take the shot on in that situation.
All right, and that's super important for Mini because that brings them back up to even and a good place to earn that spy edge back on library. So I don't think they're going into that expecting that, but well done by them. And where are we going in? So is this the very next game? I want to say when we're heading onto High Rise. I think that's right.
Let's see
Oh no,
here.
no, it's not. It's not the very next game because we're Mini Auric Spy. So it looks like we just came off of a Nebula Spy win, and that Mini Auric is trying to return the favor. Does that sound right?
Well, since Mini Oryx ahead, I think what happened is so Mini got this spy one to tie things up, and then held sniper in the next round.
Oh,
If oh
sorry,
no,
you're right. I'm
if
reversing that. Thank you.
yeah, so it looks like yeah, so it looks like it's essentially okay. So yeah, Nebula would hold sniper for the tie here, and yeah, so Mini obviously going to be looking to get the spy win here as Alice in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Let's see here. So this is, I would say, not the typical setup. Mini has statues turned off, everything else enabled. So I guess maybe hoping that Purloin or Fingerprints can kind of make a impact here. Taking a very early innocent drink and a very innocent conversation. Yeah, clearly going to be a lot more behavior focused here on high rise. So Mini taking that into account so far.
Yeah, and many. I'm trying to remember. We had this high rise. We played a lot of the high rise any 3 of 6 with 1 of swap or microfilm on, and many had some of the most. I want to say the most variety of missions that they would choose. And so you're right that this is an unusual setup because normally you would keep one of the statues in play just because you are spreading out the number of places that people are going to be like accruing threat. Of course, you can still get fingerprints at statues, so it's not like statues aren't relevant at all. But usually, if you like, people are tempted to keep in specs because usually there'll be 1 or 2 guests that finish in specs at the very least on high rise during this amount of time. We are going to do a microfilm, and that's the other part of the story is with swap being off, microfilm is probably going to be has to be on. We are going to be grabbing a microfilm and because I think correctly, microfilm is identified as the weakest mission on this map. Although I think there's disagreement about to what extent that is. Nebula might not be all that familiar with how much attention to give towards people that visit both bookshelves on high rise because it's easy to track if you give attention to it, but there's so much else to do. And we have we have the easy one in hand. The other one's actually the tricky one, so we'll still see how that plays out.
Yeah, so I completely agree. I really don't like doing transfer on these venues where there's only 2 bookcases and it's really not that hard to track. But Mini is, I think, already gotten the harder one of the two to complete. This one with the angle, it's a little less noticeable unless the sniper's really looking for it. And yeah, we kind of had a bad start. We chased down our ST who immediately moved, and that just kind of left us at bookcase, and felt like a lot of time was wasted. But we really made the most out of a bad situation. Not only that, but we get the fingerprint along with the transfer, so we can just go for a silent finish. And our ST bails on us again. Um, so yeah, actually, like really sneaky game, really sneaky silent game here from Mini. I think he doesn't want to wait for the contact. He wants to just go ahead and take this flirt. Let's yeah, I mean, I think the only thing since the microphone was clean, I think the only thing that Nebula can get us on right now is maybe this flirt pairing.
Yeah, I'm worried about that watch check because there are some snipers that shoot for a watch check at windows after a flirt would come off. It's like exactly at like 2.5 seconds. But it doesn't look like we're dead for that at least. But we are gonna, unfortunately, like you're saying, have to chase into this conversation circle and probably talk pretty early because we're probably gonna want to try to avoid OT. So, oh no! Oh, ST is such a punk. We're gonna have to flirt at windows. This is gonna be super awkward. It is at least gonna come off in time. Yeah, I think we're dead. That was an action test away from being a spy win, right?
Yeah,
So it was definitely close.
I feel so bad for Mini there because ST bailed on us 3 times. And yeah, if we just green that second flirt, that's game over. There's just no way we're getting shot in that situation. And yeah, I wonder. I mean, I guess even that last bail, I think we could have finished there too. If our ST was really just not playing nice. I do agree. Like going for the flirt finish was probably the more likely way to finish than going for the contact. But yeah, I guess that's it just happens sometimes. Just sometimes the ST just does not play nice. Good game from Mini, but yeah, it just it just wasn't in the cards in this game.
Yeah, it's a bummer because also I think that Nebula was actually giving some attention towards the blue bookcase for the transfer. Because that's one of the reasons why microfilm is bad on this, or sorry, is yeah, let's say it's difficult on this for the Spider Mac. It's like you can kind of watch one bookshelf. You can just watch green bookshelf, and if you keep good track of everybody that goes to that bookshelf and leaves with a book, if you see somebody that's not there comes in with a book, they have taken some of a book from green spot. If you think they're doing action tests, you can watch action tests pretty well at blue bookshelf. I mean, that does mean you're being distracted at the point, but usually there's a good defense there. And I think that Nebula was actually watching blue bookshelf, but we hit this green action test at exactly the right time, that we just don't seem to have an angle on the arm. Oh, and actually, also I should mention Alice's arm blends in really well with the wall on high rise, so it's actually trickier to see the arm move at all if you are at blue bookshelf. So actually, well done in that regard, because you have to be on the right side of the mission. So it is tragic. The fingerprint was lovely. The transfer was lovely. Seduction target caused us pain, and if we had hit the green test, so lots of stuff going wrong there. But well done by Mini, just inches away from losing.
Yep, and just obviously good awareness from Nebula. Just I guess seeing that okay, we're we at least have fingerprints. We're chasing this ST. We're probably trying to finish, and yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to this next round. Looks like we're moving on to Modern, and okay, looks like it's yeah, looks like it's 8-6 Nebula. So it looks like Nebula had picked up a spy win somewhere on the singles. So yeah, so mini playing catch up here. And okay, so yeah, but yeah, Mini will start off sniping here. So looks like Nebula will kick things off as Kane on Modern in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And of course, must-win situation, just in general, obviously in an 8-6. But actually, is nine the finisher
Uh,
on
yes.
Grand? Okay, so we're in must-win regardless, but especially just because of if you didn't know which one was coming first out of the two, it's you gotta get that sniper out of the way, because it's going to be the easier of the two. So must win. We are going to start off with a fingerprint, then probably return, and then probably go find our seduction target. We're actually having trouble locating them, so it is going to be Queen, who is not going to go the direction we want, and instead we're just going to go to Bar.
Yeah, pretty nice play. I think we very intentionally settled next to the ambassador who had their personal space invaded, knowing that briefcase was going to be up for grabs pretty soon. Um, and yeah, going to the bar now. Unfortunately, like bad timing because if we came in after the ambassador, we could have gone ahead and finished up Prince, but that might have been a little too aggressive anyways. So yeah, let's see if we have any plans to actually do a delegate. It's quite early, and I think we're one of the few bar visitors, so not sure if it's practical at the moment. But let's see how this pans out.
Yeah, and so here's the other bummer is there's like mixed blessing with uh, ambassador showing up to bar after you. You can't if you send somebody to Purloin, spies will more often do an actual. We are going to delegate to Twin, by the way, and it probably will take, even though there's a bit of a queue. I actually might be a little close. Oh, actually no, the queue is not so long. It's only wheels. I think it's going to take. So the other two visitors before Twin here picked up fingerprints. So sometimes there's more attention given to the people. Oh, it just expires. No, we are not going to get that. I thought that it was going to take, given that the queue shortened up a little bit, but we're not going to take that. And Nebula, this is a pretty good reflex. If you miss a delegate that you were intending, you are probably behind time, and the sniper can't tell that you missed a delegate.
And a
So
second
might as
time
well
ad.
just time it. Yeah, and actually, since we're in the super far spot, yeah, I did that second time out to make up for the time that you passed over to get the first time out.
Yeah, so this is kind of one of those things. If you're yeah, so the green time ads are a little harder to catch, but I think the clock's moving so slow that Minnie's gonna be like, okay, like if he glances at the clock for any reason at any point, okay, someone time added, might be able to narrow things down quite a bit. I mean, it really just comes down to how much focus you put on time ads and how much you value them, especially on a venue like Modern where there's really a lot to do anyways, even if you get a time ad. Um, but yeah, so yeah, still a lot of ground to make up, but honestly, looking good with those additional time ads. Gonna pick up our first flirt of the game, which will be a white flirt, and yeah, so just got the 34% and one fingerprint in hand. Let's see where we go from here.
Yeah, we have the option to try to grab this briefcase. Oh, nope. Sorry, comes in, takes it. I was wondering if we were going to take that where we were coming into a conversation circle with the ambassador about to get forced out with Flirt. Are we going to just go for that briefcase? We don't, and I don't think we want that heat yet anyway, so I'm down with that. Um, and because Ambassador did visit Bar, we know that there are some fingerprints scattered out there that get taken really quickly. Because like Ambassador going to statue, those fingerprints can stay there all game on Modern because there's so many statues. We are going to delegate to Seek this time. Oh, that's just a getting rid of the Seek out of this conversation circle. The timer expired directly after, so we must have known that we were not going to get that. Um, so we're just making stuff happen. And this party has actually been fairly active. We have a drink in hand, so we're able to get a guilt-free flirt at bookshelves. We do gulp, but I doubt that anybody's really tracking that at this point in Modern. I am curious if we're going to put this book back. I think that Sniper has been keeping an eye on us, so I don't think we're going to try to do anything with this book. I don't think we feel like we need to because we're going to be trying to get a fingerprint that kind of collides with microfilm a little bit if we're trying to do too much in the background there. And we are going to go to Bar a third time, which behaviorally, if there's been 2 time ads and the same people, I guess Wheels has been going to Bar a lot too, so lots of people joining Bar many different times, and still kind of a wide open game for Nebula to try to actually stake something out and try to make a finish happen.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of, I kind of appreciate the dedication so far, and ooh, it looks like we might be able to pick up this last briefcase, Prince. Yeah, so this should, I think this puts us in a situation where we can get a pretty comfortable finish, and I really don't think we should be that big of a suspect, especially with the way we've been playing so far. Um, yeah, quite a bit earlier, we like conversations were quite full. We get in with the DA, and the DA just bails on us. So yeah, Nebula's kind of been adapting with what's not been an ideal party so far. But yeah, with this delegate and contact, we're in a position to finish, and
Banana bread.
yeah, I mean this is gonna be a really hard. This is gonna be really hard for Mini to trace. Just
Banana
it's
bread.
really just Izzy on top of the delegates at this point.
Yeah, and of course
Banana bread.
we did so much with the. And we're just gonna keep banana breading. So the key moment there obviously was not only did we do the delegate, we did a bunch with that briefcase, right? So when we grabbed that briefcase at oh well, I guess the time that's hard to say, but Spy like 40 seconds left. We we delegated, we flirted, and we walked away with it. So the big opportunity there for Mini, although is away from the ball, right? Because we were just in like a normal conversation picking the briefcase, is that we would have seen the talk animation for Seduce. I think the delegate animation was going to be fast enough with the leaving conversation that that wasn't going to get seen. And we just did so much during that moment, right? Is we did 3 things in that moment, and actually we used technically to finish up the last part. We reused the briefcase as a an excuse to redirect into conversation. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that
Banana bread.
briefcase contained all the parts of the win that we had in that game.
So that finally answers the mystery of what's in the briefcase. Just the key to victory here for Nebula. And yeah, as you mentioned, Wheels had been to Bar quite a lot, so I'm really not surprised that he ended up taking the shot for this. And he had also been high lit for, I mean, I assume just some previous mission activity. So yeah, not too surprised that Wheels ended up taking the shot here. And honestly, just really well played from Nebula. Just yeah, just really just kind of flying under the radar. I think the 2 time ads really just swung the favor. Like what was like not really looking great into a very winnable game. And yeah, just yeah, as you mentioned, just really good play with the briefcase, setting up the win there. And looks like yeah, with that, Nebula does take the win, 9-6 over Minioric.
All right, and so I'm assuming that that sets Nebula was pretty close to guaranteeing being in the finals, but does that lock first place or is that just lock finals for Nebula?
Yeah, I think so. 2 players were tied for 9. I think Nebula was one of them, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I think that yeah, I think let's see. I think that would just come. No, that would lock.
That's just
That would,
locking second. It's like he said actually at the beginning. Opie has tiebreaker on him, so
yeah,
actually
yeah.
just finals.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so locking top 2, but yeah, there is the possibility where Opie could be the one who doesn't have to play that extra match. So And actually, speaking of OP, it looks like that will be our next match. So OP will be facing off versus Pofke here, and yeah, so it looks like OP was kind of that top, that top going into the day against the person who's currently at the bottom. So yeah, maybe like a little bit favorable, but these are kind of stylistic differences. So yeah, it looks like probably anything could happen here, but yeah, nonetheless, a very important match for OP, who's kind of in control of his own fate at this moment. Yeah, let's take a look at the picks and bans here.
Balcony is a surprising ban for me. I don't think, and that could just be that Pofke just wants to take that off the table. It just doesn't care about any other map. I don't feel like OP would pick Balcony into Pofke though. So that's the part that's to me a little bit strange. Aquarium, a good pull off. And then I think like you're talking about before, sometimes restricts can be opportunities for the other player to try to like pick something that you don't want. And I think that they just declined. Makes sense. That's totally good. Um, so, and something to note here is that so there's the kind of classic thing where people just talk about with OP, which is ballroom, and Pofke actually picks ballroom into OP. And interestingly, OP picks gallery into Pofke, which is actually a pretty good Pofke map too. So I feel like after they took off those two bans, they're like, we don't care. Pofke and OP have played each other a lot, and they just feel like I am comfortable on any map versus you, and we'll just see who wins it out. I will say, Pofke has had a cooler season than I think normally. He's a little rusty, and OP's been having a hotter season than normal. But if there are players that have played each other as often as OP and Pofke have, and have as much familiarity with each other, and have talked about, well, at least OP has talked a lot about playing with Pofke. I haven't really heard as much of their verse. I feel like the streakiness or the momentum of a given season matters less than it normally would. So would not be surprised, even with the kind of season that OP has had, that Pofke really gives him a headache or even takes this set.
Yeah, and kind of interesting that you mentioned, Pofke wouldn't expect OP to pick balcony against him specifically, because yeah, in this season, OP has actually been doubling balcony against other players. I think on 2 occasions, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so yes, maybe it's kind of a recency thing. Like even though yeah, he might not specifically want to play it against Pofke. Like Pofke's just aware, like okay, you like balcony lately for some reason, and I'm just not gonna let you have that one because maybe other people are allowing you to double it, but yeah, just gonna kind of throw a curveball here and just make you play just more standard maps, more what I'm used to, which yeah, which kind of makes sense. Just kind of play in your comfort zone. And yeah, aside from that, looks like we're gonna have a pretty standard setup here, and so let's get right into it. So it looks like we're gonna start off on I guess what would be the third round of ballroom. OP starting off 2-0 on I guess what was actually Pofke's double. So yeah, so Pofke gonna kick things off here as pearls in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And so, at least back in the day, Pofke had scripts for what he would do in a particular game, and he committed to them. I actually really respect that. I think it should be something that should at least be in players' arsenal, where he would be like, I'm going to do these missions, and often would have like a sequence of missions in mind, and he would follow that script no matter what. And it made for interesting, almost AI like movements where a lot of the times he would ignore convenient other missions. We are going to go for a swap. I don't actually think that I was going to say the often Pofke has scripts. I don't think that he was throwing this into a script. I think that this was a little bit of an instinct. I guess you could script this one out, especially if you look back in Double H in the conversation circle. And we're probably gonna Purloin in here too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
we
about to
are.
say, like, how do we get away with this? Because I mean, usually you don't swap this early because you just die. But yeah, Pofke finished finish on missions already with only 230 left. Really just waiting for this Purloin to come off. I think, God, I almost wonder if it would have been better for it to have been white because the longer this goes on, the more likely that OP is going to notice this swap and trace it back to us.
Agreed. So usually, if you see these missions done, it's the other direction, right? Purloin is the one pending, and we have a swap coming off sooner, right? Because swap is more dependently going to happen quicker. We are probably going to take a drink here. We are indeed going to take a drink here. So OP, I mean, we'll see. It depends again on how much OP is on top of the swap, because this narrows our outcomes a lot. it makes it more certain that it is white dress. So a low light takes, importantly, a low light takes, Perlin has come off, is whether or not basically OP can parse this in time. And it looks like he actually is thinking about. Okay, so I see exactly what was happening there, and OP just basically is not able to parse that difficult situation in time. So we take the drink, which throws in this wrench into the game, right? Which is if you still can see the green purloin, it's actually guaranteed to be the person that took the drink in there, right? If you have the presence of mind, it goes to a low light. So not only is there that problem, then you have this thing of okay, if it's a low light, then maybe I'll pay more attention to it and I'll know it's a green. So if they trust their low light, so the purloin was gone, a low light took it. They now know it's a green if they trust their low lights because there was a drink taken before it. So we don't even need to necessarily see the fade, but that is a lot of things to remember and figure out and feel confident enough to shoot in 10 seconds. So tough break for Opie, who actually sniffed that out correctly, and Poffy is able to sneak away with one.
Yeah, it was an interesting setup here because I guess yeah, you take your own purloin and the next person to take it. If you can see the green fade, then you know it's the taker. But I think like maybe there was just a mission count thing going on there where OP didn't feel like he needed to shoot right away. I just have to feel like the swap was maybe just not seen, or maybe not seen, not suspected. Because I think so. Okay, so clearly he saw us go center statues, and maybe we just didn't have any possible bug credit assigned to us, and OP just thought he could maybe think about it a little bit longer. But yeah, just really nice play from Pofke, just having that B mission one countdown and making it so the sniper has to make that quick decision. And yeah, it looks like OP was just not quite in time.
Yeah, that's gonna. So at least Opie is up at this point, so it's not going to be as heartbreaking. But Opie will be kicking themselves because he did correctly figure this sequence out. So well done, and tense game for them to jump into. And we'll be going directly into the very next game following this, in which Opie will be looking for revenge.
Yeah, so yeah, great rush from Pofke on ballroom, and yeah, looks yeah, I'm sure OP probably looking to do the same here. So gonna kick things off here as Rocker in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
All right, so we have okay, I wasn't sure if we were going to set up for this bug or not because we kind of actually get the spot. Are we going to stay here in this conversation circle? It doesn't look as bad to Sniper as it looks to us right now as casting, but I don't think we want to stay in here. And we are going to go for a wrong arm bug on our way out. Pofsky really not defending that angle. I'm actually kind of surprised that so that was like invisible to me as far as the bug, but that was invisible in a way where anybody coming from that direction was going to have a free bug. So I think we just didn't think there was going to be a bug coming off there, and we accidental. Oh wait, what? We got brought back up to a highlight from not. Uh, all right, we might have actually gotten tagged for that path.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know if you mean for the bug path, because yeah, I think that wrong arm bug was like more or less invisible from the sniper side, and I think at the very like the only thing you really could consider is just crediting the path. Um, yeah, I mean, not sure if there's an
Any
additional
other bug?
pathing thing that might have played into this, but yeah, I mean, geez, just like last game, we're already at 3 missions here. But the problem is the difference from so we are a highlight. Let's see if OP is going to try to look for a quick finish.
Yeah, no, but I agree with where you were going next with it is I don't think we can do the same thing of having a purloin, right? So it looks like we are going to go for fingerprints, but and I think we want to be aggressive with these fingerprints, I think like intuitively, but I don't think we actually need to be. So the problem is we are highlight for something. So if I was Opie and I don't think I'm highlight, I'm actually going to be quite patient for this next fingerprint. But actually, we might actually need to be more aggressive for this fingerprint because it really seems like there hasn't been much going on in the rest of the party for like highlights, except for us. And so, I mean, here's a moment of truth. I mean, it'll either be shot right now or never at all. So we are going to be grabbing this fingerprint. We are going to be going around. We are kind of waiting for them to come into the laser. So that was a bad indication, and indeed we get shot. So the funny thing there that I actually just kind of like, this is not really important gameplay wise, we put our laser where the spy was gonna go, and just kind of like like waited for them to kind of come to us, but kind of like just made sure. I think it's just a way to kind of remind ourselves we can just wait for a bit. Maybe something crazy like a banana bread goes off and knocks this person out. I'm gonna shoot at the right time. Because if you are turning a briefcase normally, you're going to do it around the time that you'd be finishing the fingerprint. So just like that. And Pofke is able to find the shot in a way that OP was not, with a fast game, but not rush.
Yeah, all I can say is that that is a very high level shot. Like that bug, I think most players, like even high level players, are not crediting that. Maybe put a little bit of suspicion on it, but I mean, this was purely just a mission, or I'm sorry, a mission count shot, right? So we had the bug credit, we had the fingerprints, and then we're suspected of. Okay, yeah, we have contact credit, and we're suspected of finishing flirt, and that's really the shot. So I mean, like the only thing I could wonder is, maybe if we wait a little longer, like if there's some more suspects, do we still get shot for that last fingerprint? Because like maybe it's a little aggressive, but I think Opie is like kind of one of the spies who knows like probably the earlier you finish, the less likely they are to take that shot. But yeah, just really nice sniping from Pofke.
Another thing there, but Popke isn't really known for their etic for their pathing sniping as much. We did have some weird paths when I was looking at the bug again. The paths out of the bug the path of the bug was fine. The path out of the bug to window was a little wonky, and then the path to the painting was very loopy. So there, it's possible when we actually went to that painting later when we actually picked up that highlight as their low lighting ambassador. That could have been a problem for us, but it could have also just been an excuse to highlight us when going for the low light ambassador. But regardless, well done, and that is going to tie it up. So it seems like Opie swept opening of ballroom. Pofke sweeps the second part of ballroom, and we'll be going into the very next game, which is going to be the start of gallery. Pofke on spy.
Yep. So definitely an interesting start to this match, and yeah, so let's see how things turn out here on gallery. So Pofke will be kicking things off as general in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So obviously, with general on gallery, not so much hidden activity. So not like a lot of back conversation, microfilms like that. Going to lend itself more to walking bugs and statue blocks, which I don't know if Pofke does a ton of statue blocks. It's been a little bit, so I am curious if that's in there. But he likes gallery, so I mean, has to get kind of used to it. Oh, and seduction target moves themselves in a way where we can just continue the straight line path that we were taking out to the front conversation circle. In fact, we feel so good, we're just going to add 2 time adds with the second one.
Three time heads.
Oh, we aren't going to go for another
4.
one.
What is happening? 4 times. Oh, that is just almost disrespectful. I mean, I wonder, honestly, like, I wonder, like, when you say things like this, like, you have to wonder, is it like preparation? Have you been watching OP games and you don't think he's just really looking for time ads? Like, I would at least think on gallery, like, people are going to be a little bit more wary of time ads since, it's gone for more often on gallery. But, yeah, maybe just, I don't know, with the ambassador being in danger or just something along those lines, Pofke just saw an opening for it.
Yeah, not only was the ambassador in danger, Toby was nearby, but Toby also gave a drink to ambassadors who were also tracking things like fingerprints. That's actually underrated. I don't necessarily think that Pofke was thinking any more deeply into it rather than just like back conversation. It's got lots of people, ambassadors there, Toby's there. Their laser is high on the screen, so I just think that they're looking back there. I'm just going to keep adding time, until I want to stop. And I don't think this time has been caught yet, by the way. I don't even see a reaction yet. Because we've had a couple of zoom outs. I mean, sometime soon, we're going to check the clock just to get a sense of the pacing of the game in here, and we'll see if there's any screen shakes or something from Opie. We do actually look down a little bit, but it doesn't look like we're actually reacting too strongly. I would imagine we would have seen it by now, but yeah. But here's the thing, though, with Gallery, if Ambassador has been in a spot where they're not just picking up lots of like lateral bug credits, you still do actually have to finish missions even with 6 of them out there. So Ambassador are going to play a big role in this as far as like scattering out threat.
Yeah, yeah, it really just kind of looks like some casual low lighting so far, maybe behaviorally. I was kind of expecting a big cluster of low lights because at a certain point you have to be like, hey, wait a minute, like the clock is like basically where it was when we started the game. something happened, and that's when you have to think like, okay, who hasn't even been outside yet? But yeah, I mean, maybe just so much time has passed that you just can't really be confident in who did it or not. Just be like, okay, you got away with it, but I'm just gonna keep camping, and yeah, I mean, just take the shot just based off of that information. And despite all these time ads, Pofke is really just taking his time. And I think maybe this might be kind of a strategical approach where just yeah, let him just have that mental load for just several minutes and just see how that affects his sniping in the rest of this match moving forward.
I don't know if we were trying to get a little bug in there because we were going awfully near Ambassador and kind of like tracking them, but we're not going to actually get anything. And what's funny is after all these time ads, we're kind of ended up at what's like a normal. Oh my God, seduction target comes directly next to us at window. Sorry, not window at painting. So gift there. And this not only do we get the flirt in there and finish up, but now we don't have to actually worry about conversations as much. It's like such a burden off your shoulders once you finish flirt on gallery because then you can actually start going to window sites. Sorry, mission sites. We miss the fingerprint at book. I don't, and we have enough time that I guess we feel like we can take it out. I'm actually a little bit worried for Pofke now. We've been there are a bunch of suspects out there, so there just could be a civ shot after this contact happens. But we really don't have a lot going for us other than that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say like having Seduce finished on gallery does feel pretty nice, and like you can kind of waste a little bit of time. Um, yeah, general maybe doesn't lend himself as to many finishes because you can't really do any like dancing shenanigans. Like really, just yeah, you kind of have to finish in a standard way unless you want to do a statue block. But yeah, the problem here is like the mission that we can complete now is contact, but that's gonna let off even more lowlights, which is kind of reducing what you were accomplishing with those time ads, like increasing the sniper's mental burden throughout the game. But now we can really just narrow that focus down quite a bit. So we have this book. It actually looks like we're headed towards the opposite bookcase. Yeah, I mean,
I'm
after
already
all this
feeling
time,
out.
yeah, like after all this time, are we really gonna do a hard tell like this? I don't know. Yeah, it looks like we actually are gonna. No, still thinking about it.
Yeah, because like sometimes you go over to the green bookshelf, see if there's a reaction, and you can feel out the laser, see if they like are reacting to the fact that you're going near bookshelf. Um, but yeah, I mean, if we do seem to be pointing our camera that way, we're just going near it so many times. Are we gonna try another banana bread split? I mean, this is a useless conversation for us, and Ambassador's not coming this way, so we can't take a drink. So I actually don't know what we're doing here if we're not doing a split after Wheels leaves.
Yeah, like our options are really just kind of getting limited by the minute. I think fingerprints are probably out. I think we're at a point where we have to make use of this book, direct transfer. But I mean, even still, we have a whole different mission to do on top of that. So probably have to go ahead and just transfer this book and hope for the best.
And there it is. So we are hopping in here. So the funny thing is, on if this wasn't general, would be much more blocked. So there's a little potential bit of Yomi here in that like we can clearly see general. We're in the sneaky spot on Green Bookshelf where their spies go into that spot on the in the conversation circle. They go directly backwards into that spot on Green Bookshelf and just hope to never be seen. But you can't have that. As general, we request a drink, so there's going to be a purloin coming off here. I actually don't know if I want this to be green, because if it's not green, okay, it is going to need to be white, so it's going to all come down to this right now. We see the fade, so I think that there can be the shot. We shake, though, so actually we don't see the fade enough, and we are going to take lowlights instead because we are not confident about the shot, and we don't feel like anybody else is finishing. So, of course, we didn't catch the transfer because otherwise we would have been shot on that. But then, even after, 8 minutes of gallery, we didn't feel like anybody that was in that chain before us could have been finishing, which made us frustrated because we're like something else is happening, and we have a shake in there. Let's see who else was in that chain. Uh, da, da, da.
Yeah, no, I'm wondering if like maybe it was just kind of a mission count thing again. Like we didn't have the book, so we're like, okay, even if you did purloin, I don't think you're finishing right now. And I was actually getting a little bit worried for Pofke, kind of from a behavioral standpoint, because like we had joined right next to Queen a second time. I think Pofke was actually being very careful not to talk, so it didn't look like we're flirting on top of that. So yeah, maybe Opie was just kind of like hoping just to see another talk animation before taking the shot.
Yeah, and actually, I think we just really didn't think it was general because there was no true reject before then. There was potentially maybe a little reject at paintings by Twin. I think it would have been too fast for a reject, but I mean, could have been. So I think Opie missed the reject. So Opie was like, there's a bunch of people that it could have been, and I am worried because I actually don't know who the reject before this was, and I just have nothing on General, and I just don't think that they've done it because General's just been doing nothing this whole game. So, well done by Pofke. Little worried for them there at the end, but able to do something with their all of that time that they did and put together a finish.
Yeah, and it looks like it ended up being a pretty valuable game because so it looks like Pofke is coming into Redwoods with a 7-5 lead. And looks like so we will be okay. So yeah, looks like Pofke will start things as a spy as Alice in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And this is gonna be a problem for Opie because Pofke is very determined about mission finishes in Redwoods, and so I just feel like he'll do well. We are gonna be I don't know about this visit. We'll see. We do get it. We leave pretty quickly, so actually I think the damage is gonna be pretty minimal. I was worried about basically that moment right there where we low lit double agent, and so if we go over to low light double agent and we just happen to see two paired at windows, you can just kind of like pick up pairs like that. That would be pretty bad, but Opie delayed the low light. We're fine. I don't think we got seen up windows at all. Basically, the red test seduction. It doesn't seem intentional.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. If we were seen at windows, then we're gonna be seen with sorry several more times. Actually, very aggressively chasing. So yeah, I think we're in some sense probably going to be maybe kind of flirt paired with sorry here. Um, yeah, I mean the only hope is just like okay, it's Redwoods. Maybe you're not paying that much attention to flirt, but yeah, a little unfortunate. Oh, it looks like we're just out of bug range, so can't quite make use of that. Maybe on the leave. No, it looks like Ambassador's going to head in the opposite direction, so gonna have to try to find progress elsewhere.
We are highlight. I think we're the only highlight too. So this is very bad for Pofke. But we might have been paired with Irish because we are standing very much in Irish's like model. So I think we actually need to get out of this conversation circle before there could be a flirt timer, which I think we will, just because is there gonna be no talk? Okay, no, we do catch that. I don't think Opie cares actually about no talks enough that it would get there, but bad opportunity there. We this is actually really bad if we stay in this conversation circle long enough to get this credit. Luckily, I think Irish leaves, and I think we're gonna have an opportunity to meet Sari somewhere. Sari is gonna be at Windows. I don't know if we're gonna try to do that. We are gonna try to sneak this, so this is 100% gonna be on whether or not we've paired specifically with Sari. We're gonna be respectful and not ditch Windows super quick. But with all that said, even if we get away with without like getting near Irish again, we have this highlight, and all we've done is flirt, and there are still no other highlights that have come off the rest of this game.
Yeah, and the fortunate thing is I mean I think we've been with Sorry 4 times and now it's 5. So if we weren't paired, I think we are at this point. And the highlight could have been for any number of things, but I think one really unfortunate situation is we might have been given wrongful bug credit, in which case we're basically going to get shot for the next thing that we do. Um, yeah, we have this book in hand. I mean, I assume, with the time that we are, expecting some kind of transfer.
Yeah, and you know what's weird is we miss pad there. We very specifically okay, we go into we're gonna get caught. So something that was strange about that is it looked intentional to miss pad so that we had a quicker path to to the dump, and that we were waiting for a rotation from OP to go in, dump, and leave when they were behind trees. But OP is able to just catch enough of it, and actually might even just intentionally kind of put themselves behind trees a little bit. So whatever OP's early highlight was for worked out for us. I do think that the flirts were maybe a little bit like rushed in there when we didn't actually have a follow up after that. But good on OP for anticipating the transfer there, because if we miss that and our mission count gets thrown off, we could be in another situation like we were on gallery and just wait on our shot.
Yeah, so the highlight does seem to be timed with a talk, so I don't think it was. I don't think we had gotten bug credit. I think just yeah, just the unfortunate red flirt and just chasing down. Sorry, a little aggressively might have just been enough for OP. And yeah, just I think was able to kind of tunnel in on the transfer and take the shot. So yeah, looks like that was the last game we're casting. So I assume let's see here. Yeah, so what was the final score for that one?
The final score is 9-6 for Pofke.
Oh,
Ooh,
9-6 for
very
Pofke.
nice.
Yeah,
And
so okay,
and
yeah, so, or go ahead.
no. You go ahead. I was yeah no go.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say a very much needed win for Popke, kind of putting them kind of out of that auto demotion spot for now, and yeah, that really just kind of keeps things wide open because I think OP with a win, I think kind of seals their fate. So yeah, now just a lot of possibilities are yeah, I mean a lot of things are possible in GM.
Yeah, and I think that might track for this season, for the way that this season has played out like an upset. But I think that when players again play each other that they're really familiar with, I think that their long-term scores versus each other are more going to be more informative, and they've generally played fairly close versus one another. Pofke has just given OP a bunch of trouble over the years, so not surprised. Close set altogether. Seems like it was relatively blow for blow, but congrats to Pofke. So Pofke, you're saying is out of is not locked into the auto delegation. Who needs to play their way out of that? Looks like Turnip Boy needs to play their way out of the auto demotion, or is they're like locked in, I guess, with because Koopa's
So
forfeit.
Turnip Boy is out of the modded, and Pofke and Mini have to play the promotion Hassets, or however you say Hassets, match against the master players.
Gotcha. And are those ones finalized so that we know who Mini is playing and who Pofke is playing?
Yeah, so Mini number 5 has to play against Shep. Was it Shep? I think so. Let me think again. The number 3 of Master has to play Puffke, which is C-Rams. So that leaves Mini Rack versus Shep, yes.
Those are tricky. Yeah. So yeah, choosing between CRMs and chefs would be tough. So there's I would say that not a big drop off between either one of the two of those. Um, I think that right now Mini is in better form than Pofke. I think Pofke was able to get some good results off of these players on reputation, or sorry, not reputation, on familiarity. But I don't think Pofke has been playing as much. So we will see what happens. I would actually love to see. I would love to see a Pofke properly preparing for C-Rams. I don't know if those two have met before, but that actually could be a really cool set if both players prep really hard for each other. I would really love to see what like a C-Ram specific Pofke game looks like and what C-Ram's prepping for Pofke looks like. And then of
Yeah,
course, Mini versus Chef's just gonna be fun.
yeah, I completely agree. And if C Rams is in a match, you can be fairly certain he is very prepared for that match, especially one of great importance like this. So I completely agree that that'll be incredible, as well as yeah, Mini and Chef. That sniping is yeah going to be out of this world. And interesting note here: this last match, Rob and Sauerkraut, this actually has playoff implications. So either of them are looking to either actually draw or win. They can't lose. If they lose, they're out of that three-way playoff. If they win, they leapfrog OP into the number 2 spot. And interestingly enough, if they draw, I think let's see here. If they draw, I think actually they both get in and push OP out if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so OP is actually cheering for anything but a draw here, and actually I think either of these players would be fine with probably a win or a draw for yeah in either of those cases if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
Or
it's
I'm
good
sorry,
that
there's or is there's one player who can't draw, right? Is that right?
No, Ruff and Zoe, if they draw, then they will both have 9 points, and then
Oh, right,
because of
right.
tiebreakers, they will be above OP. But then
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
they have to play each other again in the championship match, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotcha.
That's
So
right.
they're not
That's
going to
right.
be incentivized necessarily to draw. Like if this was Nebula Sauerkraut and they could draw to force Opie out, I don't know. I could see a lot of Civ shots just chalk all the way through. But I don't think we'll see any match fixing on this one at least because I think they won't want to face each other again.
Yeah, so yeah, Nebula got the top spot locked down, and okay, so yeah, either of these players probably just looking for a win, but yeah, OP also hoping for a win. So yeah, and an interesting matchup here too, because like obviously these are two pretty good, well-rounded players, but you look at Rav, you usually just think, okay, great sniper. You look at Sauerkraut, you're like, okay, great spy. So it's gonna kind of be fun to see how those styles clash in this matchup.
Absolutely. All right. So looking at the draft, so we've actually seen a lot of this. Aquarium and balcony might as well just be like the default bans that people have. Oh, I'm actually seeing that maybe the draft is delayed though. So we'll see if this the not the actual draft because it did look familiar.
Is it the wrong draft? Apparently it is the wrong drafts. Okay, well we go really fast back to the leaderboards while I fix this really fast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
no worries. Rob and Sauerkraut is for a long time. Though Sauerkraut's reputation is finally like solidified into a top player, but there was like this weirdly long time where Sauerkraut was this dramatically underrated player that was just there and present in a lot of competitive games, and a lot of the top players would be like, Sauerkraut's really good and a very consistent practice partner for some of the top players. And now, over the last like year and a half or so, Sauerkraut's record and results have started to catch up with their skill level. So it's been cool to see Sauerkraut rise recently, and that this is actually like I would say like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Rob versus Sauerkraut. Rob would be at the top of Rob kind of rising, and Sauerkraut was still underrated. I think that this would be a strong favor towards Rob, but now this is honestly pretty close, just in general between these two players. So, going to be kind of like a brutal match, I imagine, for both of them.
yeah. I mean, I'm maybe a little newer, so I don't know all the histories, but Sauerkraut has just been absolutely winning me over, like as a fan, like just awesome plays constantly, and oh my, like that hidden cup run was just absolutely incredible. And oh, and yeah, and let's see here. Looks like we have the draft. Let's see. Okay, so looks like we have. Okay, so aquarium and balcony band. Okay, yeah, not too. Yeah, pretty standard. Yeah, pretty standard setup here. Looks quite similar to ones we've seen before, but actually we see a Tayen pick mixed into things, so that's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see both, by the way, picking the restrict of the other player. I don't know if that's just because the both of them read what the other one wanted to double, or if that's just they like it enough. And yeah, you at this level you have to pick like 3 maps, and there's gonna be 3 maps taken by your opponent. So you just kind of land on each other's restricts a lot. But this actually might be just greeds on exactly what the other player is gonna want to play, and just forcing that restrict out.
Yep, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So it looks like we're gonna kick things off on gallery, and I believe the players are tied 1-1. So yeah, tied in the first two rounds of gallery.
Oh,
Let's
real quick amendment. We have double ballroom from Rov in there, so we will not be saying modern, but ballroom instead.
I thought I pressed updates, but nope.
All good.
No worries. All right, so yeah, looks like Sauerkraut is gonna kick things off as teal in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So so they split the first one on this one. So I am just gonna guess sniper split, but who knows? But usually on gallery, gallery still like really has lots of opportunities for spies, but still fairly sniper favorite, especially among these two. But maybe something crazy happened. But I'm just gonna guess snipers have gone well so far, and Sauerkraut's looking to break.
Interesting note here. So our ST settled like immediately outside, and I thought that was a really good opportunity to get in an early flirt. But Sauerkraut being very respectful of the sniping, deciding not to go for it instead of. But yeah, actually we bounced off our ST and settle in this conversation and get a flirt anyways. It is a white flirt, but I guess maybe just trying to really fly under the radar and not pick up that early flirt pairing.
Yeah, and that's actually been kind of like how Gallery has been playing out more and more. Is that uh, Gallery becomes this? People have just very reliably gotten better at what timings they want to do microfilm and bug at, especially bug at, and that Purloin tends to be more of like an escape hatch, just like something that's like this option that hangs out in the background, and so then it becomes this thing of there's the Yomi thing of like oftentimes they're either flirting, getting fingerprints, or sometimes getting early inspects, and then they're just trying not to get seen in that first pass that you do at the at the party. So you're guarding bug, you're just looking around, seeing where fingerprints are left, and then you're just kind of like sort of paying attention to see if people are flirting. And so if the spy isn't being obvious enough with their flirts, you're not probably going to catch them, and you just have this game where you're basically you have slow flirts in the beginning of Gallery is the short way of what I'm trying to say. That's just the default kind of look of Gallery these days is unless they are trying to specifically get something over on the sniper side, slow flirts.
Yeah, kind of, interesting play from Sour. Like he really has just looked like an AI, like really indistinguishable from an AI, like in behavior. Um, I mean, this may be an oversimplification, but I feel like Rav is, known more as just that overbearing camper. So I don't know if this is, just kind of a stylistic thing, or if he's just kind of giving Rav maybe just some credit for, just observing that, yeah, that etiquette, that behavior, and just trying to, lower suspicion based off of that.
Really cool, by the way. We had a time ad, and we walked back to the same position in conversation circle. So if the time ad was caught, it would look like it wasn't us, even though we're in the front part of the venue. And then Duke comes and joins us cross conversation circle. So we do actually have to hit the green, and we did. We were able to catch up a little bit on what was kind of a slow start and put ourselves into 2 minutes with flirt done. And now we have a lot of options again. And presumably, also, if the sniper is paying a lot of attention to the back, oh, this is actually, or I thought we might have gone direct, and I was gonna say, I don't know how Sauerkraut could have possibly gotten that read on Orange Sari getting such credit, or sorry, such attention on the swap that we might have just dumped directly in there. We are going to dump now, so now it's going to be whether or not we saw the end of that book leave at Blue Bookcase and pick up a shot here. It's always hard to tell because the sniper is just kind of hovers here by default if we're watching too really close. We're kind of slowly going over that looks bad, and indeed it is. So weird consequence of that game, or weird thing that happened in that game is if we actually just directly transferred and totally disrespected Rav in a way that would be normally insane to do, I think we would have actually gotten away with that transfer, but we waited in what would normally be the correct play, and we get shot.
Yeah, so that game was, I mean, honestly, it just kind of looked like, that like if you don't know Sour, this is a very good introductory game. Really creative at mixing in those time ads and really good at getting away with them, and honestly just not afraid to cheese even against a strong sniper like Rob. I think just really good at just knowing the timing of when you can do these things and get away with it. And yeah, we got away with the cheese book rip, but it was actually the putback that got us killed, which I'm a little surprised. And I think yeah, maybe just Rob just kind of seeing us in the peripherals, maybe not timing the take, but yeah, just I guess just something just seemed a little off with the putback, and that was enough for him to take the shot.
Well, Rob was also very specifically patient with the shot where I was worried for Teal and the fact that we were holding this laser super still, but again, like you can't really tell. And then a very slow move over. So, like, just generally, like we were getting ready, waiting, because we don't actually need to shoot until the putback happens. Why shoot too early? Maybe banana bread comes off. So, well done. So, Rob able to not freak out about that time ad and get something over on Sauerkraut. And then we're fast forwarding to Redwoods, which I'm super excited to see. And by this point, Rav has taken more of a commanding lead, and so it's actually 6-3 Rav. Sauerkraut needs, like, it's of the maps to come back on, Redwoods is better, and it has to start here with getting some sniper wins on Redwoods.
Yeah, a little surprised, to see kind of, Rob pull ahead this early. Well, maybe not surprised, but yeah, I mean, pretty big point advantage early on, and yeah, so Sauerkraut, having to look for a win on the spy side, but actually we're gonna see instead Rob on the spy side here, as Plane Twin in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Yeah, so
And of
just
course,
based.
Opie rooting for Rob at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so clearly Rob has actually had some success on the spy side. So yeah, clearly a very important sniper to hold here for Sauerkraut. And kind of yeah, kind of a scary position to be in where you're on Redwoods, you're against someone who's kind of having some success on the spy, and you have to hold your shot if you want to stay in this match.
We are going to sneak and inspect here. So, of course, it's an option. I actually think that this is going to get caught by Sauerkraut. So we'll see if we're just dead here, but I think we're just dead. Yeah. So what we did there, also, I think everybody's pretty familiar with this. If it's like a reflex by now, if Ambassador leaves a briefcase at bookshelf, you can sometimes try to sneak a inspect when you go and pick up. It is usually more convincing if Ambassador is in motion or would otherwise create a delay where you could stay at the bookcase a little bit longer. But it's really strong if you can get away with it, because not only do you get potential fingerprint on the briefcase, but then if you sneak one statue, you can throw off the mission count when you go to other bookshelves and just have a huge lead. But I think that Rav is dead. If I had to imagine, because I think we're gonna try to finish the specs and get another fingerprint, and I think we know exactly what he has so far in his partial progress.
Yeah, definitely some good insight there because I honestly I that kind of went over my head. I thought maybe it was just okay highlight for one fingerprint. A little surprising. But yeah, I think yeah, like you said, maybe just notice that we might be choosing an inspect, and yeah, we're kind of in a situation where conversations were fairly full, would have been a good contact, but they have since dispersed, and yeah, really just not in the most ideal position to pick up progress now.
Yeah, and we actually, so what's funny there is we were going into a conversation circle with seduction target, and then oh, this is really interesting. We are going back, so this is actually one of the ways that we get out of the problem that we created, because maybe we start second guessing, because this is extremely not spy-like. I mean, I guess there's the fingerprint, so there's that, but like generally speaking, if we cheese and inspect, the one place we don't want to go is the microfilm on that side, because even if we go to a statue, what you can do is you can sneak one inspect, go to two individual other statues, because then you still might not actually have inspect credit from the sniper point of view. But that undoes some of the best case scenario situations for Rav, where we got away with it clean, but it actually helps with the worst case scenario where we're actually tagged with the potential inspect from earlier. So now I'm less certain about Sauerkraut having a shot here.
Yeah, so yeah, big brain play from Rob. I do still think though if we finish inspects, like we're just gonna
Oh,
die.
bug.
Oh, and we actually we do go, but we have the bug in hand, so yeah, maybe with assuming okay, if that bug wasn't seen, I think there is some reality where we finish here. But yeah, it's just gonna come down to like clearly, yeah, clearly Sour knows we're finishing inspects, so does he take the shot here?
I don't think so. So obviously, I don't think so because we're not lining up with 2 seconds left. But I don't think that. So there was a moment near the end there where I think Sauerkraut was keeping the right side just enough to see Rob at statues, but that bug was just super clean. So I think that that alone throwing off our mission count, which is interesting because we saw the collision, but I think I guess because we started the arm. So I'm gonna look at that bug again. We start the arm really early, so just by the time the arm on the far side of Ambassador is seen, it's looking better. We do see like the begin or sorry, the arm being outstretched is visible just for a fraction of a second on the far side of Ambassador on the left side, and then by the time that Sniper comes back around the other side, it's not there, and so that's enough to throw us off of there being potential bug credit, and we don't shoot because I think we're just expecting somewhere else to happen. So I am really curious if that play of us going back to that shelf to get the second fingerprint but undo this the sneaky inspect saved us that game, because that's a very curious play. So well
Yeah,
done.
yeah, really nice for Rob to bail that one out. I was kind of in a position where I thought we just die if we go to statues, but not only did we not die for go to statues, we died while going for a potential bug path on top of it. So yeah, clearly we weren't that big of a suspect. And I think another thing to factor in is like there's actually a lot of highlights. Like it almost looks like half the party if not more, is highlight. So I think that may have just factored into it. Like we're a suspect, but okay, but a lot of other people are big suspects as well. And yeah, just maybe just a little too hard to take that shot that early.
All right, well, we are jumping in towards the latter half of the set where Rob has taken an 8-3 lead. So Rob starts really running away with the set after the games we had seen because they were pretty close on gallery, it looked like. And then we are stepping into veranda where we're going to see Rob as spy, and he can clinch the set with a win here, I believe.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start with Rav as wheels in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, 8-3
Instant
lead.
request.
Oh, instant. Let's see. Did that? But no, it wasn't. Oh yeah, it is a pending purloin. So yeah, I think Rav probably is feeling quite confident. And in all honesty, I think Wheels is a good spy to go for these kind of plays on as well. Like I guess we're kind of pretty well seen, so I guess our height isn't really playing into a factor. But yeah, so I mean, I guess like I think Sour can probably narrow this down quite a bit. Maybe at least let off some lowlights. But yeah, pretty good start here from Rav.
I don't know if this purloin's been seen yet. We're holding an angle that actually makes it hard to see the list on Veranda. So Veranda is actually kind of like this weird thing with purloin because it has a similar angle to Ballroom where from certain positions on the map, it's actually hard to see the list and it moves around a lot. So there didn't seem to be a big reaction to the purloin being gone. So we might be okay. There, I am hoping we have seen the purloin at least by now, but we have not seen a reaction like, okay, here comes the lowlights on the right side of the map. That might be the start of us reacting to this purloin. There's another lowlight add in specs. Okay, I think we have seen it and started to narrow down.
Yeah, but this is quite brutal since so much time had passed. I think, let me think, maybe two, even three additional guests have been offered by the time that Sour noticed this, which yeah, it really just kind of hurts your chances of really narrowing down like actual suspects. And very clearly like we're just not, we're not going to be heavily suspected like someone who should be like in the situation. And yeah, I think Rav just pretty well aware, just gonna go straight to statues and probably just do a pretty straightforward fish. Oh, and actually we're doing a pending swap, so even though we completely got away with this purloin, we're giving the sniper another opportunity to shoot us here.
Interesting. Also, we actually go for the action test on swap first in case we miss it. So if we swap first, it can look like a white, but we do go for the green, and then just worst case scenario, maybe we try to get away with a frame or something. So we're staying near this inspect. It's not close enough that I think it's going to block it, and we're just kind of seeing who is going to get the call. There's nobody really that close to get the call. So I don't know when it's going to happen. I thought it was going to be Irish or Smallman, but there's Irish. Irish is starting to come over the call. I'll see if there's any. It's kind of a far call. It was the closest person that would come over here. We're gonna banana bread as the swap is gonna be coming off. So we're gonna low light. And there, the swap comes off as we're low lighting, and we are holding over. So I don't know if we're actually gonna figure this out. We are hovering near wheels, and we're just kind of staying near. I don't know how. Oh, wait, but no. Okay, this is bad because now we're bringing Pony back up, so we're very uncertain about what happened there, even though we paused over the swap and noticed it. So uh, so many highlights coming off. I don't know what these are for because we've been highlighting for inspects. So I don't know. I think we're just really uncertain.
Yeah, I think I kind of know this feeling. Like when an early purloin comes off, it just kind of throws you into a state of panic, and you start to doubt your info. Because I think Wheels, if I'm not mistaken, Wheels was brought up as a highlight when we went to that statue. So I think under like normal circumstances, this does get traced back to us. But yeah, I think just yeah, just having that early purloin, just having no idea who it could be is just really throwing us off right now. And yeah, Rav is actually smart enough to just not rush because I think if we make it look like in any way we're trying to finish missions, and Sniper's gonna be like, oh yeah, that's the spy clearly. But yeah, Rav just gonna take his time and just leave all that pressure on the Sniper.
Yeah, and it's a weird veranda game to have both Purloin and Swap gone, right? So we've done everything that we can leave a trace for the sniper. We have contacted, we've swapped, we've purloined. So there's just like maximal pressure on the sniper in sense of if somebody goes to statues, there might be a shot. And it looks like we are going to pick up. This is very interesting because we can't, well, unless there's a fingerprint here that I don't know about, but I don't think we're going to try to finish fingerprint here. This is weird. We might actually get shot here. No, no, okay, because we remember that if there's a swap here, there would have been the specs on these statues. By the way, there's a fake highlight there, so we might be trying to induce Spy to do something. We have a yeah. This is a shot. Sauerkraut sees it. Yeah. It was, what's interesting? If we'd gotten away with that first pass, we were getting close to countdown by the time the sniper advanced, but we fail on the first one, so it doesn't matter. So good on Sauerkraut.
Yeah, I love the way Rob does these little things where it's like, okay, why would a spy ever do that? Going back to the statues with like in the last 30 seconds. But yeah, and I think there was even this shake of of the laser where it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure you're the spy, but why are you doing this? But yeah, just it was a nice attempt. I think Rob was in a situation where he knows like, okay, if I go to like a legitimate set of statues, I'm just dying. So yeah, just goes for the bug instead. But yeah, Sauerkraut luckily finally gets his bearings just in time to take the right shot.
Yeah, and there was a real chance that if I guess Alice or Teal really moved around more, maybe they get shot, and they just really just kind of did nothing. I mean, they weren't in the chain or anything, and Irish was a low light by the time that she picked up, so she wasn't in consideration. But Irish, or sorry, Pony stayed in that conversation basically the entire rest of that game, except for maybe almost looked like they were going for a bug at the end there themselves. So they weren't getting shot. Teal really didn't do anything. So the main thing that Sauerkraut had to do there was avoid a civ shot. And they were able to, and they saw Rob trying to finish at the end because, Veranda, even if there's a swap you miss, even if there's a Perlin you miss, they still have to do so much.
Absolutely. And with that, it looks like we're going to move into library. So much needed point from Sauerkraut, but still in the unfortunate situation where you have to win 4 in a row against Rob. And gonna start that off on library, 5 of 8. So yeah, another 5 of 8 venue. But yeah, we do know Sauerkraut, very capable spy. Yeah, more than capable of getting a win here. So let's see what happens. Spying Aztecs in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, Sauerkraut has to win. Will be 4 in a row to kick OP out. I don't know if they have those stakes in mind when they're playing because I don't even know if they played that was true at this point. But definitely put a fire under them if they knew. Um, and yeah, that's one of the things though that spies are dangerous on library when they need a comeback though because they're gonna be a little bit more. Now Sauerkraut was probably always gonna play pretty well in that, but like basically sometimes like mediocre spies like myself, if my back's against the wall in library, I actually sometimes do a lot better than I normally would because I just start taking risks. We rip out this book, by the way. It is on screen, right on the side. I don't know if we're actually paying attention to the spot where you're at.
Yeah, I agree with what you said because like I do think library is one of the venues where like it actually pays off like more often to just take risks, like do things like cheese and like things where you would normally get shot on other venues because like really just you have these blind spots on library and like I mean it's just absolutely worth it, the time and the time saved and the suspicion saved honestly from, the sniper not seeing you do certain actions.
We're very respectful at the beginning of that yellow transfer. I thought we were going to try to dump in and never really be seen. Because we're on the other side of the map. But by the time it would have happened, actually, it would have been bad. So good call by Sauerkraut. So it is totally possible Rob is hiding their highlight on Sauerkraut so far. Although that would have been an opportunity for us to pick up that one. So it seems like it was clean. So I think we're good. Like in particular, hiding highlights for bugs and transfers for things that wouldn't leave obvious spots for you to do it. That happens the most, but I don't think it's actually looking bad. I think we're doing good here, except for time, which is just always this persistent, pernicious problem on library.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what Rov's general way of hiding highlights is, but I kind of feel like we would have been like a stealth highlight, where you kind of just hover your laser and click as they walk by. I kind of feel like that would have happened if we were really suspected for that transfer.
Ooh,
So I think it was just clean, and honestly, like we were speaking of taking risks. Like a couple of risky plays really do seem to be paying off so far. Like I think at the very least, maybe we have some slight credit, but I don't think we're a huge suspect yet.
yeah, no, and that was a complete opportunity, right? Where it was just like we were in a great angle to the laser for that bug, and Ambassador came to us and just like basically left really quickly after because they were getting forced out. So that's really nice, and I don't think we would be hiding the highlight for that one if we really wanted to highlight for it. So We still have to do 2.5 missions in 2 minutes, but that is definitely doable on library. And again, actually, we had like a moment there where laser was directly on text and we didn't highlight. So this is looking real nice because we have so many different paths to finish here. I don't think we're gonna be watched for this flirt at all. So let's see. We have contact and inspect. We've got contact, maybe a purloin, depending on what we want to do. Let's see. Let's think through this. Like, well, actually, what would you do in this situation? If you had to do 2 missions on library, you got like a minute and a half, so you really have the gamut, and you can't do transfer bug or seduce. What do you do?
Yeah, I think probably. So if you're assuming that you completely got away with the two earlier ones, I'm probably just gonna finish up inspect and okay. So Sour thinks very differently from me. Goes ahead and takes the swap. Um, yeah, pretty bold play. In okay, so yeah, we're gonna finish up inspects at the same statue. Ah, man, this is tough. So I think you're really just hoping that the AI is gonna swap
We're
block.
zooming
No, and
in. We're zooming in. Oh my god. So
Rav taking the shot even without seeing the swap.
I I mean, sauerkraut. It was gonna be an uphill battle, and obviously, I think we're hoping for a green, right? So, I think sauerkraut thought that they were a high suspect. I think that they thought that they could have gotten suspicion for the bug and the transfer, and they were just like they thought they had to take a risk to win that game. They didn't. So that is unfortunate because I think that they did something fancy at the end of this game of going for what I would assume would be a green, but let's see. Maybe it's an intentional white. Did someone go there a second ago? No. Queen went there a long time ago, so it's not a frame. Um, so unfortunate for sauerkraut, and I don't think they had a sense of actually how suspicious they were to the sniper, which really didn't seem like they were suspicious at all. Go for a risky play when I think a normal finish would have gotten them there, but then again, like you said, 4 games in a row versus Rav, you might just be in the risk mindset, and doesn't pay off.
Yeah, and I have to correct myself there. I thought that was a pending green swap. Yeah, I guess just with the white swap, that's a pretty rough spot to be in, especially knowing that you have to move to get the other statues. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I
Rob
mean,
is saying that he's dead for micro. So Rob actually had a track on the microfilm and just wasn't showing it in game. Or
okay.
he's lying in chat and trying to make us see. This is the other thing: is sometimes players come in here, they say, "Oh, I would have killed for that thing," because then they're like, "Hey, yeah, exactly." Like there's psyops that happen all the time. Or like, don't even try to do microphone versus me. Whoever like Nebula, like it's Nebula's casting, and they're gonna be facing each other. So yeah, we'll see.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
not necessarily. They'll be playing Opie first.
I'm gonna choose to believe him because I know Rav is one of those sadistic players who will catch you on a hardtail and just wait for you to finish missions before taking the shot. Like I've played him before and I've felt really good about myself thinking like, oh yeah, I got all these missions by him, but I think he just noticed the first one and just let me go ahead and and finish anyways. Um, yeah, but it's honestly plays like that will kind of keep you guessing like what did he actually shoot me for, and it's pretty yeah, I mean pretty good like match strategy over the long term.
All right. Well, so that was the sealing up for Robert Sauerkraut. So Opie breathed a sigh of relief, able to get into the top 3. But also that sigh of relief is that they have to play Rov, which is probably not going to be super fun for them. So they're going to play what, like in the next couple weeks, and then they play Nebula. And is that going to be something that like for the finals thing, are we pushing it out for a while because it's we're waiting for all the rest of the leagues to finish up, or is that going to be happening relatively soon?
I hope it happens in 3 weeks, but we shall see. Like two weeks for all the other matches to be done and casted, and then the third week I want to cast the final.
Well, I don't think you want to cast the final. I don't think you will be allowed to,
No,
but have it
this,
cast.
yeah. This is the only match I'm probably not gonna host. So yeah.
Probably, yeah. Looking pretty good with the guaranteed finish in there, but I guess it might not end up being live, but it's always fun. Always fun for it to be live. But also, I want to make sure that players do know that they don't have to play finals live, but they are more fun and cool and pressure.
Oh no. My match has to be live.
There we go.
But yeah, honestly, I'm pretty excited to see these finals. Like, there's really no predicting what's gonna happen between these players. Like, you really just kind of gotta watch and see.
Nebula, who do you want to play? Just call it out right now. Which one of them do you want to play?
Sour. Please give me sour.
You can't. You don't get sour. I know that's what you wanted at first, but
To be honest, I feel like Ruff is going like a little bit of an upswing again. He was a little bit down, but now he's going up again, and Opie is not practicing that much. So maybe Opie?
all
Yeah, it's
right. Nebula thinks that Opie will be an easy match.
Oh.
Opie, you see this VOD? I want you
Uh,
to feel this and
oh, no, no,
practice.
no, no, no.
yeah, it's kind of funny because like OP started off crazy strong. I think he had wins over the top two players, and then I think went 2-3 again in the remaining matches, if I'm not mistaken. Or yeah, maybe even or no, 2-2, or maybe 1-2 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, like actually did like pretty well against like the top of the division, and like kind of struggled against the lower division later in the round. So kind of a bit of a wild card in that regards. And yeah, Rav, like we know, like super high ceiling, like you don't want to play him when he's at his best. So like yeah, and Nebula just been like absolutely insane. I think yeah, only dropped like one like really other game, and just yeah, just looked like unstoppable since then. So yeah, I mean just yeah, I mean, like I said, you really can't predict it. Just kind of got to watch and see how it plays out.
Absolutely. And so are there any outstanding games, or is that the regular season is basically sealed up and all the divisions are finalized?
Yeah, so basically the regular season is over. Everyone is. Yeah, basically we're gonna do the top two of every division except the Grandmaster. So Topaz, One Hopping Bunny versus Yeti. And then we're gonna go to Sapphire Calumet versus Hornet. Emeralds, Assassine Effects versus Scouts. Oh no. No, this one is wrong. Oops. That's the, you see? One second, one second.
Gotta
The-
undo the fixing real quick, figure out who's actually playing.
No, the thing is, yesterday I used the official spreadsheets, so I didn't update the gem divisions for this cast in my casting spreadsheet, which I'm using right now. So I'm gonna go really fast to this one. I think it should be.
And that makes sense. Appreciated that we have the separate casting one so that it's not spoiled in there because you're both doing admin and casting, so I understand why there's two different ones.
Spy Party. Apparently I did it wrong again. There we go. Do, 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 do. So yeah, at the bottom, still the same two players, Bunny and Yeti. And Calumet versus Hornet. And then Emerald is gonna be Scout and Huno. Okay, yeah, it was not Assassine Effect. Huno is winning by a tiebreaker over Assassine Effects. And then Ruby is gonna be Wrestler versus Crash. That's gonna be spicy. And then Master, which we casted earlier, which we know Ada and Damscup are gonna fight each other. And also the promo matches is gonna be Serums versus Puffkey and Chef versus Minirek, I believe. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, that is going to be so fun. So like congratulations on the finishing of the regular season so that most of the matches are now complete and that like the basic premise of like a league being done where it's like people playing in their skill brackets and getting to play competitive spy parties. So congratulations on that as an admin and then good luck as a player for the rest of the season. But we'll see because Robin Opie, that's got like them being able to prep for a little bit and you just waiting in your throne room for them to approach you might actually get some good fire under their themselves for that.
Don't I have to prep? Like, better prep because they still have to play each other, right? So
I
I
guess
can.
that's true, but then you don't know who you're prepping versus. But I guess neither do they because they might not prep for you until they beat the other.
Also, one thing I want to point out is that the top seeds will get an extra single in the draft, and they will also be able to choose the sniper order, the roll order, and the pick order. So, Ruff versus OP, Ruff has those things for him, and then the winner of that I will have those benefits. Same with all the other divisions. Everyone, like the top seed, gets one extra single in the other two that I just mentioned.
Which is good because sometimes there's not like there is some seasons of SCL where the top advantage was like you get to have pick order and whatnot, which is still nice, but like kind of didn't feel like much if you won out the division. So I'm glad there's something in there. I actually didn't know that they get an extra single, so a little cherry on top for that, which is nice.
And yeah, just want to just add to what Slappy said. I think concluding the regular season, I feel like this league has just been an absolute success. I feel like it's accomplished everything it's set out to do, and yeah, both playing and watching it has just been absolutely incredible. And yeah, a little sad that the regular season's over, but pretty excited for that postseason.
And with that, we're gonna end the cast of today with championship matches. I'm not sure which order we're gonna do. It's probably gonna be the order of which one is completed first, but we shall see that later. I'm gonna plan like this in the coming days. I'll plan it out. And then yeah, just look at the Discord or follow SpyParty friend. Oh no, we're gonna probably stream on the other Discord. I should probably mention that. I'll probably get a key from Checker and I'll be hosting on twitch.tv/SpyParty instead of this channel.
Very cool. Very fun.
Anyhow, I want to thank Hornet and Slappy for casting. Almost 3 hours.
Very fun. No, I always enjoy it. And
Yep.
thank you for joining up, Hornet. I've actually really enjoyed casting with you. Like, I did not hear that much of your casting before, but I really think it's lovely.
Oh yeah, same to you as well. Always enjoy it. Always a pleasure.
Anyhow, see you all next weekend probably. Bye bye.